Greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and today I'd like to go on a short rant about one specific thing from the last Tinto talk, where they explained something that, quite simply, means that every single age the rules of the game change globally for every faction. They have completely overhauled the notion of age bonuses that EU4 has, where in EU4, every time that the age changes, you have a new set of bonuses that players are able to earn, the splendor points to spend on getting these bonuses, and certain people have unique ones. However, those unique ones are very restricted to only a couple people, and they're usually quite insanely powerful. But here, the scope of what gets changed is much broader. The rules completely change for everyone, as opposed to just being the Age of Absolutism unlocking a new modifier you can stack in EU4. Here we have the fact that, first of all, not to account for the fact that in EU5, once the Renaissance starts, 5 years in, you get to pick which type of tech you want to focus on for that age between admin, diplo, and military focused ones. So you get to change your build for your nation for that age, what techs you want to focus on getting extras for, but that is something we already knew. Here, they talk about buildings. Yes, the buildings unlocking is not especially different, but the very key thing, and I have waffled on too long to get to this point, is the fact that right here, every age has a panel like this one, where of course you get the new institutions that become available, but also markets change the way that their prices work. Prices at the beginning of the game have a very small gap in the amount that their prices can change from, but as the game goes along, things can get progressively much more expensive, potentially, or much less expensive, as economics become more complex. Also, of course, government reforms become available globally, depending on if you're a country that is eligible for those. Most of these will be available to most countries, of course. However, I am sure that if you're playing someone in the Americas, most of these will not especially be relevant. I don't think that Cahokia is going to be dealing with universal serfdom as far as government reforms goes. But other things down here, as you'll see, I put on the thumbnail, unlocks hegemonies. Until the Age of Discovery, there are no hegemonies, but as soon as this age happens, people are able to start accumulating progress towards becoming one. Wait, nope, I forget. It's not like EU4 where you accumulate progress towards and then activate becoming one. The game simply picks the great power that is the strongest in each of the relevant categories, and then it makes them a hegemony. And that will begin being done as soon as the Age of Discovery begins. Also, for every age, there will be bonuses that are active so long as the age is active. As soon as the age moves along, things change. Now, as far as levy maintenance and expected army size, they have stated that these two modifiers will continue to increase. As the game goes along, every age, these numbers will go up. Levies will become more expensive, and army sizes will be expected to increase for the sake of prestige, perhaps loyalty of vassals. We haven't been given specifics on that yet, but it is very different from force limit. We know it is not the same. This is what you are meant to have your army the size of, not how big you can have it be. Perhaps, if you ask me, it might mean something. I suspect that they will not have a force limit, and instead the expected army size is going to be something that you can modify in your nation, because this is a green modifier, this is something you want, and I expect that you will want to have your army to be roughly what the expected size is for the best balance, because perhaps if your army is too much larger than the expected size, there will be downsides, as well as having it be too small. Now, the key things here that are modifiers that change every age is the colonial maintenance and exploration monthly progress. During this age, the whole world is just simply better at colonizing and exploring, which is a very interesting way to handle that, where globally, each age, there are certain things you want to focus on, and it changes as you go. These things are not, they do not exist at the beginning of the game, because at the beginning of the game you start in the Age of Traditions. Now, they haven't actually stated what specifically that does, but they've explained what most ages' abilities are. Also, brief mention, outward versus inward, you also get societal values that unlock as the game progresses. One thing that they'll mention down the Age of Reformation, no, they don't mention it here, but in the Age of Reformation, well, they don't say it here, but in the Age of Reformation, you unlock access to free trade versus mercantilism, and it does not exist as a societal value until then, presumably because of the concept of colonialism becoming ingrained enough that people start to think more about that aspect of trade. But, for example, what we have here is the Age of Renaissance giving higher cultural tradition, which is the defensive aspect of culture, and diplomatic capacity. This means that cultures are much harder to convert in the Age of Renaissance, so at the beginning of the game it's harder to convert cultures, and you have a higher diplomatic capacity, so you can have more subjects more easily. In the Age of Discovery, of course, it's much easier to colonize, and the Age of Reformation, lower trade maintenance, I didn't remember, that's curious, but the religious conversion is the one that stuck out to me, because this is going to be the age where, once you get to the Age of Reformation, you'll probably be wanting to start to have progressively over the course of the Age of Renaissance, you want lots of vassals. In the Age of Discovery, you want to start integrating those vassals towards the time when you get to the Age of Reformation, where you have less of those vassals still around, and you're able to start properly, culturally and religiously assimilating them to be part of your core lands. And once we get to the Age of Absolutism, you can integrate whatever other vassals you have left much faster, and revoking the privileges from estates is easier. And you had best do that, because if you don't go on and integrate those vassals and revoke those privileges, you're going to get to the Age of Revolutions at the end of the game, and the game caps off with reduced war score costs, and subjects are much less loyal. So it might become tricky when it comes to all those colonial nations and other duchies of Warsaw kinds of things. All those, it feels the Age of Revolutions is it gives me the vibes of they're really trying to lean into Napoleon's whole conquered just a huge amount of the world. He conquered almost all of Europe. It's ridiculous. And he set up vassal states to govern the place, usually ruled by relatives, I believe. And those people were not so loyal to him in time, which I believe was a catalyst to how he fell the first time. I'm not an expert on Napoleon, though, so don't take everything I say as gospel, please. But with that, I will wrap up this short rant before the bald man continues yapping for too long. So, thank you all for watching. Please recommend me any other short rants you might like me to go on, in reference to Tinto Talks or other subjects if you want. But for now, I'll be signing off. So thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!